Hello and welcome to the HeartWorking Dad podcast. I'm your host, Gabriel Perez, and this is the podcast for Christian fathers who want to grow in their relationship with Jesus and lead their families well. Like I said, I'm your host, Gabriel Perez. I've been married 12 years to my wife. We both work full-time jobs and homeschool our kids. And in addition to that, I'm a certified biblical parenting coach at the National Center of Biblical Parenting Association. All right, let's jump into this week's episode. I wanted to talk about guiding our children and guiding our children when we have to push back, giving pushback to our children. Really, I guess that's what I should title this episode. Giving pushback to our children, challenging our children. It could actually go three ways with this, actually. I would think even inviting your children would be the next. I could do 3 episodes, I think, just on this topic. Let's go with challenging your children first. I was riding my bike. Well, my son was riding his bike, and I was running. And something we just started doing because I want him to get outside a little bit more. I want him to do what I like to run. He does not really like to run. I'm hoping maybe he will. We were at a park on vacation, a state park, and this lady, my son's got a lot of energy, and he was just running up and down the trail, and this lady's like, he's going to be a marathon runner. And I thought, you know what? I take that. She like prophesized this over him. She was just saying that jokingly because he had all the energy, but in my brain, I'm like, yes, he is going to be a marathon runner. I want him to run the race with me one day. I think that would be amazing because I am a marathon runner. Not a good marathon runner, but I did run a marathon, so maybe that's something we could do together down the line. But I wanted to just bring him in to come with me because so often I'll do my stuff in the morning or I'll do it alone. And I realize it's just a time when instead of me just doing my workouts alone, instead of me just going out and disconnecting, why don't I invite my children along who want to come or who sometimes don't want to come? But my son's at an age where he's getting older. I'm thinking, well, let's just connect because we can do this together. He rides a bike pretty well. So I invited him out, and he said, yeah, he'll do that. And the cool thing is he just he's been enjoying it. Now he wants to go on a bike ride, and I'm not so conditioned that I can just go every day to a run because he really just kicks my butt because he's biking and I'm running, and I'm trying to keep up with him is not easy, and he's just going kind of slow now because he has to slow down for me. But that would be one thing that I would say is, as dads, let's invite our kids into what we're doing. I think there's this if you've seen Ted Lasso, I love this scene where the angry guy, I don't know what his name is, he's with his niece, but he has his girlfriend, and she's like, what do we do with her? I don't know. He goes, you just bring her along. He goes, they don't care what you want to do. They just want to be next to you. And I think it's so true. I think sometimes we think we have to do these elaborate things with our kids. Just bring them along with whatever you do. Like he told the little girl, he's like, hey, I got a foot doctor's appointment. You want to come? And she's like, oh, yes, can I? She was all excited. He's like, see, I just bring her along with what I normally do. And that's a huge lesson right there that we could just take. Because sometimes we run out of ideas, or we think I have to do this or I have to do something special. Just bring them along with what you do. And so that popped in my head, like I'm just going to bring him along, and we're going to run. He's going to bike. And we had this moment where it's pretty tough in our pathway because the turns are pretty sharp. And I didn't realize, but his brakes are actually really high. They somehow got really high up there, and they need to be down there so it was kind of hard for him to stop. But he had this moment where he was trying to stop. He crashed into the wall a little bit, and he was just like, you stupid wall. And I was like, hey, whoa, because I saw him getting frustrated, getting angry. I was like, now is it the wall's fault? He goes, yeah, the wall was right there. I said, well, was the wall there before you got here? And he said, yeah. Okay, so did the wall move into you, or did you move into the wall? It's like, I moved into the wall. I said, okay, so whose fault really is it then? And he goes, mine. I said, okay, well, there it is, bud. And now you're free. And it was just a moment, because what I really wanted to impress upon him was that we have to take accountability for ourselves. And as he's growing older, the consequences of things, of not becoming accountable and not taking accountability, become worse. I think the world is full of men who don't want to take accountability. It's hard. We just want to blame everyone else. We want to blame. And even as I told him that, I said, son, you're not alone in that. It's something that I struggle with too. Accountability and wanting to blame this, blame that, blame the circumstance. But I have to work on it. But I just want you to know I'm helping you to work on that with yourself. I was like, right now, when I have to work on things, I really have to practice listening to God and allowing him to speak these things into my heart. And honestly, practicing the presence of God, listening to him, hearing that guidance in your heart is not like an easy skill, and it's not something that I'm great at. But I feel like in that moment, as I was correcting him, there's God saying, yeah, we're here, aren't we too? So it's recognizing that. And so I told my son, that's how I'm going through things, but I want you to know that I'm here to help you go through these things. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but I am trying to help hold you accountable so you don't blame the world around you, take responsibility, and then you move forward. So I was having this really good conversation and talk. And honestly, when I think about a lot of these talks, I feel like there's these really powerful moments, because I'm like giving this speech, I'm connecting with them on a heart level. And my son's like, oh, okay, Dad. And he just whoop in one ear, out the other. To be honest, could be, could not be. But I also think, he may look back at these conversations and when he is having a hard time and know that, what, my father was there. He helped. He was guiding me. He was helping me. Because I think as a student too, walking with God, we don't always receive the lesson right away. There's always just that time period where it's like, oh yeah, that's what God was trying to show me. As what this, you heard that? That's what it's like to have kids in the recording a podcast and having your kids run around the house. But there's always those moments where it's like, oh yeah, God, that's what you wanted to show me. That's what you meant. And I think it will be the same for our sons, that they're not always going to sit there and hear our wisdom and be like, wow, God, Lord, or not, wow, Dad, that was so amazing. I got so much from that. Thank you. I'm totally going to be so, I don't think it's ever going to be like that. But I think when they look back or when they reflect, maybe later on that night, they're going to say, you know what? That was good. That my dad really helped me there. Or my dad is encouraging. My dad's good. And that will be the testament. That will be, those moments that we're making for our children. So a couple things. Invite your kids into what you are doing, whatever you're doing. If you're working out, and your kid's old enough, start inviting them to work out with you. If you're going running, invite your kid to run. If you're going to fill the gas tank, invite your kid to fill the gas tank. It doesn't have to be complicated. Second is challenge your kid. We need to challenge our kids. I think there could just be this line where we just let them feel all their feelings. And yes, we honor their feelings, but we have to help them move forward. We can't let them stay there in their feelings. We have to help them keep that train moving. Repair the leak and let's keep going. So I hope you find that encouraging. Could you do me the biggest favor? Could you leave a rating and review? I'm really hoping that I can get all the people that listen to this to leave a rating and review. It would be so helpful for this podcast and helping this grow and helping this message reach other dads so we can build the HeartWorking Dad community. So with that, I'll leave you and we'll talk next time.